Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Weddings and Mimosas. And we have a wonderful new guest today, the lovely Keelia Clarkson. Hold for applause, hooray. She's How are you, Keelia?
I am wonderful. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. And you're moving.
Yes, yes. I'm in the midst of moving. I'm about a week and a half out from moving across the country from New York City all the way to Los Angeles, which is actually where I'm from. So it's kind of like moving home. But yeah, it's just, I've never really done a move like this. I mean, aside from the first time that I moved here to New York, but I'm just in that time where, I'm waking up in the middle of the night and going, oh my goodness, I have to do that and I have to sell that. And just, so it's crunch time.
You're gonna be fine. You look wonderful.
Thank you.
Backdrop looks wonderful. I was like wondering, I was like, I probably should have scheduled this differently because I bet her house is like covered in boxes.
Not quite. So we're super we wait until the last minute. We like just living on the edge that way. So we don't have boxes yet. But next week, if we had, then yes, I would be surrounded by boxes.
This is just a nick of time.
Yeah.
Well, I have a pineapple mocktail. This is pineapple juice, everyone. And Amelia has lemonade in a beautiful floral tumbler. So
Yes.
cheers, and we shall get
Cheers.
that's sour. Okay. Mm, okay. Kelia, you got married, and I thought you got married during COVID, but I found out last time you were here with us in LA that you guys got married right before COVID hit,
Yes.
like the clever people that you are.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your love story, how you got engaged, and what made you decide on a micro wedding.
Yeah, so we, I guess, did a micro wedding before it was popular.
You started with that.
We did, and we said it, without really knowing why, I guess. We didn't know how helpful that was going to be for everyone else down the line. But no, so our love story, I mean, we met back in LA. We met in an acting class.
Oh,
Um we were scene partners, and funnily enough, we did this scene where we were playing this couple that during the scene we both found out that we had been cheating on each other. And so it's very, dramatic, and it ends in this kind of terrible breakup. But, out of that, love was born. And so then, of course we just dated, and he had already lived in New York, and I had just always wanted to move in New York and live in New York. I just kind of always saw myself there. And so eventually we just decided, I think we're both ready for something different. Let's move to New York. So yeah, so we moved here. We were still dating, and then I think it was probably 6 months after we moved here, we got engaged on a rooftop, which was so
oh,
fun. Yeah. He took me to this little rooftop in Queens, and so it had this beautiful view of Manhattan across the river, and it was just so magical, and it was private and intimate. It was just wonderful. And so so then we just decided I mean, we were going through the whole wedding thing of, okay, I had in my mind for years, as I'm sure many women do, of just, okay, well, what do I want my wedding to look like? And of course, I have this image of like 27 dresses or my big fat Greek wedding, just all of the rom-coms. And as I started getting closer to the wedding, it became kind of clear to us that getting everybody in our family together, because we just have very international families. Yeah, I had people living in Tokyo, and he was, had people in England and Scotland and LA, and so it was just kind of all over the place. And so we just decided, it's just going to be too difficult to get everyone in the same place that we all really love. And so we just decided to go ahead and get a couple of friends here, and we actually got married on a rooftop. So exactly the way that we got engaged, that we got married.
well,
And
that's real.
yeah. And we were just surrounded by the New York City skyline. And as I look back, it feels still very movie-like, even if it wasn't like all of the other movies that I had thought of initially. But yeah, that was kind of our love story and our wedding story.
It's peaceful, beautiful,
Yes,
wonderful. And I love that it kind of started with a rooftop and ended on a rooftop.
I know. Yeah, we didn't even plan it that way, but
So sweet. So I think that was one of my other questions for you was I think that as I, I was always told as like as a girl, like women dream about their weddings, it's from their born, blah, blah, blah. I think guys do too. I don't think it's just women. I work with a lot
Mhm.
of grooms that are like even more into it than the brides are. But when I got married and I was planning our wedding, I thought I was like on it. And looking back on my wedding day after I got married, like I spent a lot of money on live musicians and it ended up they were absolutely terrible. And I'd wish that I had pressed my bouquet and not dried it and used that money in a different way. And so
Mhm.
I think we all dream of our wedding and then it's time for like a regrouping when you get engaged to be like, okay, what do I actually want? And then, after your wedding, you can always look back and say, I wish my bouquet was pressed. But when you look back on your wedding, what are like highlights and pros and cons?
Yeah, so I would say the pros that immediately come to mind are, first of all, I'm a really, really, really strong introvert. And so the idea of having all of that attention on me from so many people was honestly pretty overwhelming to even think about. And so for me, a really, really big pro was that it was so intimate. It was people that we were very close with were there, and then just us. And so I didn't feel kind of pulled in every which direction. Because what I've heard from other brides is, you know, you get to the end of your wedding day and you're just absolutely exhausted. You had like hundreds and hundreds of people there and they all want to say hi to you. And and you want to say hi to everyone, and you want to catch up with your aunt that you haven't seen in 4 years. But I just can't imagine having so many people asking for your attention when you're trying to get married and have the most important day of your life, basically. So that was one really, really big pro for me. I would say probably another pro was, as you kind of touched on already, was you looked back and you went, "Oh my gosh, I spent all of this money on, this one thing that you might end up going, if I'd really thought about it, I didn't need that." So that was a nice thing, was just to kind of start fresh and not have this big bill basically over our heads, or even my parents or his parents or something. It was kind of nice to just save money right off of the bat and not stress too much about that. um, and then another pro that would come to mind is, I felt like the wedding day was really about us,
Mhm.
and it wasn't about some kind of weird dramatic thing that happened just out of all the guests. I don't know, I'm sure that happens, right? It's just like something dramatic happens with the guests, or like someone gets upset about something that someone else did. And so none of that was an issue. It was all about us. It was people that we were really, really close with. um, and so it just felt like a very tailored experience, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So that was really nice. But I mean, of course, anything that you do, you're going to have some, quote unquote cons as you look back. Although I look back on my wedding day and I really love it. And it was really unique to us. But I think probably for some people, the cons could be like maybe it, maybe they didn't have quite the wedding that they had already imagined in their mind. And of course, there's some kind of like compromise that does have to happen, um, but it is nice to see some of your dreams fulfilled, I guess, And I mean, when it came down to, my dress and all that type of thing, like I just found something kind of simple. And there are some times when I wish that I had maybe like I don't know, more fancy dress that like one day I could give to my daughter or my, future daughter-in-law or something like that. And I don't have that. But, I think overall I look back on the wedding, and it's hard to have many, many cons, but definitely a lot of pros for us.
Lots of pros, lots of happiness.
Yeah.
And a lot of people post COVID and during COVID were in a situation where they had no choice but to have a micro wedding. I was at a Bible study with a group And they were like, we had a 300-person wedding plan and then COVID hit and we had to get married with 10 people. And they were like lamenting. And I was like, listen, y'all, you can just get married again. Like,
That's true.
have one wedding here. But I think that that's something that I really like about smaller weddings is that you can be really intentional with where you spend money and also who you invite, because our wedding was 120 and I felt so overwhelmed the whole day. And I'm an extrovert. I was like,
Yeah.
so many people here. And I remember our rehearsal on the boat that we all loved.
Yes, that was a wonderful rehearsal. So fun.
I remember the rehearsal more than I remember the wedding day. I remember the wedding day in like flashes, but it just felt like a whirlwind. And I remember like everything about the rehearsal. And so it does go by so fast. So you
Yeah.
have to be very intentional with what you do. Because looking back, and like we left an hour early. We were
Yeah.
tired. But
No, I remember you on your wedding day. I probably remember more than you do because I didn't have so many people trying to talk to me. But yeah, I mean, obviously you guys just looked so happy. But yeah, I could tell like you were definitely running around and you just had a lot of things that you were trying to kind of get done and all of that.
the
Yeah.
AC broke. Remember that? It was so hot. I was like leaning against the bathroom tile for like 10 minutes trying to cool that. It was so hot in that room. It was crazy.
But honestly, it was a really beautiful wedding. I look back on it and I go, this was absolutely spectacular. And of course, a wedding planner put it on. Like, of course, a pro.
I had like so many timelines. I gave out all my timelines to everyone, and I was like,
Yeah.
do not bother me. No one talk to me. I'm going with my sister-in-laws. We're going to the hotel. No one talked to us.
Yeah.
Betsy and Cindy were on it. They did a very good.
Yes.
Yeah. Pros and cons. We talked about doing a small wedding and we didn't, and I'm glad. I liked it. But there are times when I'm glad we had the boat, because I think we had the best of both worlds, because we had that intimate niceness. But I always recommend people who are on the fence to do a smaller wedding if they want to, because I think some people are like, oh, that's not very many people. Is it okay? But it really is great. And you spend the money where it matters. And that's the most
Yeah,
important thing on your wedding.
exactly. I think if you look at the different places that you can save, like I think it's really smart to just come up with a pro and con list and just like a non-negotiable list type of thing. And if you look at the places where you can potentially save money from, maybe not inviting your third cousin or something like that, that opens up the opportunity to have something really, really unique and special. So you might have that little bit of extra money for a really beautiful venue or a string quartet or just something that would make it really spectacular for you.
I agree. And that's, you're gonna remember it better that way. And then it's people you like, because then you're not inviting people. You get to a point where you have to invite people, but if you keep it small, you can just say, I'm so sorry. It's a small wedding. You
Yeah, you'll say, I'm so sorry. There's only 20 seats at the venue. I'm so sorry.
send a gift and here's our registry, but
Yeah.
we're so sorry. So where did you get your dress? Because your dress is beautiful. I saw a picture of it.
I got it on Amazon.
I love it.
Yeah. I'm just that type. I don't know. I got my shoes on Amazon, my dress. I still have the lipstick, I think, somewhere that I used. There are things that I'll hold onto forever, but I'm definitely not someone that I needed a super expensive dress. But yeah.
Well, it's beautiful. And Amazon for the win. We love it.
Yeah, honestly, Amazon does have pretty good options if you're trying to save a little bit of money there.
In great qualities. Did you get a couple in case one didn't fit, or did you see it and you're like, this is the dress? You know it's gonna be great.
I trusted.
You
I yeah. I was like, this is going to be the dress. But I got one that was like a little bit it was actually it was like knee length or something. And it was kind of like I was looking for something that was maybe 1950s-ish looking, kind of, just like a little not super puffy skirt, but like Audrey Hepburn-ish type of silhouette.
Very classic. It's never,
Yes, yes.
yeah, you can pass it down. It's always
Yeah.
in style. I love the little white dresses. Amzel has such amazing dresses for that. And I always say,
Mm.
Like get 4 white dresses for all your parties and just live it up in the white.
Yes.
Because who wears white after the wedding? I mean, maybe some people look good in white. I don't. So I live up and then no more white.
That's really funny. I think you look beautiful in white. I loved your wedding dress. It looked amazing on you.
White is very bridal, but you know, it's like how often would you ever wear white again? So you have to really live it
No,
up.
it's true.
Yep. Live it up because after that, it's just not as exciting.
Yeah. Although when I was like way before I met Nathan and we were dating, when I would dream of the wedding dresses or something that I would wear one day, I would often look at Beholden, which I'm sure you're very familiar with, the Anthropologie line. And they just like they have absolutely beautiful, just kind of not all of them are considered wedding dress. Some of them are considered engagement dresses or something. But I think you can use them as wedding dresses and they're a little bit cheaper if you buy them and they're not called a wedding dress.
It's true. I think we were at the Grove last week, and the Anthropology had the line of their wedding
Mhm.
dresses out, and I saw them for the first time in person, and I was like, oh, they're
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yes, they're gorgeous.
Yeah, they really are. And we just love Anthropology.
I know.
So when you think about your wedding and you talk about your wedding, what kind of tips would you give other people who are currently planning or thinking about it? What things did you learn that you were like, don't do this instead?
Okay. Well, I can really only speak to kind of micro weddings because I that's really all I have experience with. But I think I do think it helps to plan well ahead if you can. I really didn't plan well ahead. And I will say that added some stress that I just really didn't need on my wedding day. It would have been nice to, wake up and just feel absolutely zero stress. Um, so yes, definitely plan well ahead if you're able to, have a wedding planner that is a total pro like McKenna and is on board with your micro wedding. I think having a wedding planner, if it's in your budget, can really help you feel like you've made a really special day for yourself and you haven't just thrown a party, if that makes sense. They have, I mean, it's their profession. They have special ways of kind of creating something really magical that you wouldn't have thought of. Um, I would say another thought is we did not have a reception. Really, what we did is we did the ceremony on the rooftop. It was amazing. We had some champagne with our friends. And then we left all by ourselves and had our own, like personal reception at a super romantic and expensive restaurant.
That's
And yeah, and honestly, I still look back on that meal as one of the best meals I've ever had. I can still just taste like I think we had like these black truffle scallops or something like that. And I still think about it. But I think, if of course other people like wanted to join you or something, I think it would be a really fun thing to just have a reception at a fun restaurant around there rather than having to like just have this crazy big, reception that you might feel like, oh, I've already spent all my money on the string quartet and, so yeah.
but I think it's nice to let others celebrate you too. And that's one of the things. And that's what I tell my brides, especially when it comes to like toasts. Because for the longest time, people just hated toast. I think they got a really bad rep
Mm,
weddings. And lately, I've been telling brides, I'm just like, when we're planning out the reception, they're like, how many toasts should we have? Are toasts even necessary? I always say, I'm like, you know your people better than I know them. I don't know your people, you do. But there's something so beautiful about people that love you getting up and saying nice things about you. And I
mm,
still look back and listen. We listen to our toasts from our wedding and rehearsal every year, and they're so precious. And there's something so special about that. And I think that that's my favorite part about receptions. It's really
mm,
seeing the bride and groom's community circle around and just love on them. And it's something that really sticks with you because your wedding day goes by so fast, but those
yeah.
moments really are impactful. And when else are you going to have that? Your funeral, and you're going to be dead. So you got to live up those moments to the best you can.
That's true. That's true. You'll only witness people giving you a toast once, really.
You might be at like a bridal shower or a baby shower, but it's not the same as
It's different. It's different. I agree I think if I went back and I decided to have more people at my wedding, that is something that I would add is a few different toasts. I absolutely agree with you because it is something, first of all, just really nice to personalize the day and make your guests feel like they're part of it. But also, I absolutely love that you guys go back and watch it every year. I feel like that's so intentional and that's so special. And one day your kids are going to see those. And I wish I had had that from my parents' wedding, you know? So that's a great tip.
toast. We love toasts. And the rehearsal dinner too is a great way to slip in toasts.
Hmm.
And the people that toasted for our rehearsal dinner, they just right before were like, we all want a toast. Now it's like, great, do what you want to. And especially like Cody's toast, our brother-in-law, it was astounding. And I was like, wow, good job, Cody.
Yeah.
But I think you can still have a really small micro wedding and have a small reception. It doesn't have to be crazy. It could be at a nice restaurant. You could have added more people to your dinner, but there is something nice about just being alone and
Yeah. I don't think it's what most people would have done, but it really worked for us. So, if that's something that a bride listening wants to do, there's your permission, you know? Yeah.
to invite people to your private dinner.
Yeah.
Is there anything you would change about your micro wedding?
Oh, let's see. I think I think I would probably, and this is where a wedding planner comes in. I think I would probably put more effort into really transforming a venue into something that felt like this is Keelia, this is her and she's getting married, and that this is, I don't know, something like string lights and maybe some kind of ivy, and do you know what I mean? Just something that a wedding planner would have access to and have a vision for how to create that, but within a budget. Because I think it's really hard when you haven't really done any kind of wedding planning before. You don't know how much things are going to cost. Um, and so you get kind of caught up in the weeds of like, well, what's important? What isn't important? So I think that's something that if I went back and had someone like you working with me, I would definitely try to make the venue more personalized.
Mhm. That is a great tip for brides. I don't think I ever would have thought to say that. Look at you. And I didn't think that when I first started being a wedding planner. I didn't do it because I was like, oh, wow, wedding planner. Someone just offered me a job as an assistant, and here I am. And so when I first started working with her, I was like, this is a waste of money. People don't know wedding planner, but I was just there for the job. And then after I did it, I was like, oh my gosh, everyone needs a wedding planner. And then, doing now, I would counter that wedding planners save bride and groom money because we
Mm,
negotiate contracts in a way that bride and grooms can't because they don't know how much things cost. And so
yeah.
just getting a little plug for the planners out there.
No, that's absolutely true. Because what I understand is like florists and just everybody will totally mark something up if they know that it's for a wedding. And if you don't know any better for, no, I got a different price, at a different wedding that I organized, you won't be able to fight for a better price. And so that's definitely true. It's like you need someone that's walked this path many, many times and knows how to advocate for you and just make your vision come to life.
So you don't have to because it's
Yeah.
for the bride.
You have enough on your mind. You're getting married. To go change your last name if you're doing that and fill out paperwork, get a change of address.
Work. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot.
It's a lot. There's still things that I find around my house that I'm like, oh, this still has my old last name. Like, I forgot.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Yeah. No, there are definitely things where I'm like, oh, that still has my old last name. I don't know if I'm ever going to change it, but we'll see.
We are.
Yeah.
Well, Keelia, we're so glad you were on our podcast today. Do you have anything you want to say before we wrap up?
Oh my goodness. Well, I would just, first of all, love to say that I had the most fun talking weddings. I never talk weddings. I don't know why.
You
I feel
should.
like I should talk weddings. So I just had the most fun being on this podcast. And thank you so, so much for the opportunity to speak to your listeners.
Oh, well, thanks for coming on. Keelia, you have a very interesting and amazing blog that you do and podcast. You're very talented. You're very busy. You're very busy.
Thank you.
You're a writer. You just do a lot. You were just on The Tonight Show, right?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was on The Tonight Show. Not just a little while ago, but I was.
Felt very recent to me.
Yes.
Tell us about your blog and podcast, Wallflower Journal.
Yes. It first just launched as an online magazine called Wallflower Journal a little over a year ago now, which is just so insane to me. But I started it basically in order to give women an online space to grow gently and ponder thoughtfully and live beautifully. That was kind of the idea behind it. And so with Wallflower Journal, I have a lovely crew of contributing writers where we are constantly putting up book lists, recipes, relationship articles, opinion pieces, all kinds of things that just speak into what I think the women today want to read. And it all comes from a very gentle place, which is, I think, what a lot of places are missing is gentleness. That's our thing. But also, yes, I do have a podcast. It's called Dear Wallflower. And I think the simplest way to describe it is it's basically the Dear Abby column in podcast form. And so my co-host and I have listeners send in some letters with the struggles that they're facing and questions. And we just do our best to offer them advice. And we have people on from time to time who might have something better to say than we do, might have more experience. And McKenna is going to be on our podcast soon. So that's really exciting. So yeah, please go check out Wallflower Journal and Dear Wallflower if those sounded interesting to you.
I love the Wallflower Journal. I do read it because I follow it on Instagram. So every time a new article comes up, saying there are
Thank
so many
you.
things that I love, and it is very gentle. It's very just calming to read, full of good things, and very just like you leave feeling refreshed.
Oh,
And
thank you. That's so sweet.
you're like, oh, okay, everything is a little better today.
That's the goal.
So I will link the podcast, the website, everything Keelia related, everywhere we put this, and write in your problems to Keelia at Dear Wallflower.
Yes, tell me all about your struggles. I want to help you.
Well, thank you for coming on, Keelia, and we will hope to have you soon. You have been on our blog, the Events McKenna blog, and it was the best blog we ever had. And so we appreciated it. It was so well written, such great tips. So we hope to have you back soon, and we're excited to be neighbors again very soon.
I know, we're going to be neighbors and we're going to hang out all the time and get dinner. It's going to be the best.
Thanks, Keelia.
Thank you.
More episodes are coming soon. Have a great day and stay tuned for more.